The very last thing I want to show you is actually the sample books. And these are, they've been having a big emphasis at our school about success criteria. It's another part of the whole ICANS and learning targets and all that. The success criteria is a different chapter. And this year it was my goal to put success criteria in place. And basically what the success criteria is when they, I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute and grab the books. But success criteria is when they, hold on, stop share. Okay. Success criteria is when they, you basically show them what success looks like. So I have like little samples for each of the steps to show them what they look like. So I'm just going to grab my books and I will show you what those look like. Since we've been doing the drawstring backpack, that's what I'm going to show you. This is the drawstring backpack success criteria book, and it shows you, it's physical samples that they can look at to see what the skill is supposed to look like physically. Sometimes it's hard to see on a 2D screen when they're videotaping, so they get a little confused. So it gives them another section. Now, this is something I don't have instructions for. I will go through page by page so you can kind of look and see what I have there. I actually have basically so right here we have the grid, just a picture of what the layout guide looks like. And then on the second page, this is actually the layout, physically laid out, so they can see what it looks like on a piece of fabric. And so I demo it for them too, or I show the video. I usually demo it, even though I have the videos. That's the part I do demo, because unless the students, they move faster than the videos. And then if they move faster than my demos, then I let them start on videos. That's the advantage to having the videos, is you have yourself duplicated multiple times, or you have the teacher duplicated, which if you use my videos, in that case, it would be me. But so then here is, if you do the pocket a different color, then there's the layout for the contrast. So this is if you're doing the pocket. This one is if you're doing the pocket the same color. And then if you look at this side, it's if you're doing it a different color. And it just shows them what it actually looks like when it's laid out. So first they see it on paper, and then they see it on fabric. Okay. Then I'm so proud of these. These are like my favorite. So I put little grommets. I actually made my own out of Ziploc bags. I made my own pages, and I cut them down to fit to the same size as the page. And then I printed my instruction sheet onto cardstock, and the cardstock went inside the bag. And then I put grommets in to create a page that could open from here, because it worked a little better than having these pages. I can't think of what they're called right now. These pages that insert from the side, they're just thinner and a little flimsier, and they don't hold it as tight. So page protectors, that's the word. Okay, so on this side of this page, I'm actually just going to hold the book up by the page. You can see here is the instruction step. Okay, so I have these printed out big, and then on the back, I actually have the tangible samples that you can see what they look like. So I'm just going to set that down, and I'm going to show you these samples. So this is these are shrunk down. They're miniatures of the actual bag. But, and then I put grommets in and put things to hold them together so they don't get lost. I have a lot of fun with grommets. I think grommets are the best thing ever. But, so you got to get your grommet machine if you don't have it. But this shows you step one, and then I actually put a step on it that shows it says form pocket. And so they know that's the name of the step when they go to the instruction sheet. And this is just a piece of fabric that's folded. The pockets are super easy because there's no finish work on it. It just lays over the top. So if we go to the next step, it's the pocket placement. You lay the pocket over this, but they can see the fold goes up here. That's one mistake they make a lot, is they accidentally put it upside down and then you have the raw edge up here. So when you have these for them to look at, it makes it a little easier for them to understand sometimes when they're in the middle of the process and they don't fully understand what they're supposed to do. Okay, so if I turn the page, I go to the next step, which is step 4, making the pencil pockets. So you can see right here, I do it with an embroidery stitch because that way they get an excuse to use the embroidery stitches and they love it. They can choose their own design. They love to make choices. They love to decorate it. Okay, and then the last one is putting a little reinforcement stitch, and that shows them what it looks like. And there's instructions in the instruction sheet to show them how to do that. So this little instruction, or this little success criteria thing, makes it a little easier. You can just kind of make your own samples. I just did it with a whole bunch of grommets because they're fun. And it holds it together so that pieces don't get lost. So I'm just going to put this one away. Okay, and then when I'm finished, the cool part is I just put this back in the bag like this, and then I stick it, except I try to put it, when I put them away, I clean them up. So I'm going to put that so that the face of it is pointing to the outside, like this. And put it up like that. And I'm going to push the air out. Okay, then go to the next page. The next one is pattern assembly. And so when I put these pages together, I had to kind of like take my instructions and dismantle them a little bit to get the right steps onto the page of what's behind it. So, so when I open this bag behind here, there is a little booklet that looks like this. So see how it says mark casing line. So that's the first step in this section. And then prepare backpack layers. And then you just go through, there's a line that helps them remember that they're supposed to put a line there. And then you go to the next page. Oh, there's the other side of it. There's a line on this one. And then match layers together. So now this shows them how to match it and how to pin it. Now on the drawstring bag, if these grommets weren't here, it would be pinned all the way around. So that's one advantage to not having the grommets in, is you can show them the pins. But one thing they have a hard time doing, especially in junior high, is figuring out how to put a pin in. So I reinforce constantly, I want to see those pins. A lot of them like to just stick the pin in and it holds it like a pin cushion. They don't know that they're supposed to stick it in and then pop it back out. So the pin shows on the same side, the front, the beginning of the pin and the end of the pin shows on the same side. That's just kind of an interesting little thing that they do. And then this one, if I turn that, the next step is to stitch the layers together. So if you look at this step, you can see how they are stitched. Now with the drawstring backpack, I actually have them do a basting stitch from here to here, and that's all in the instructions. At the yellow line, the line that is marked, you can see I have them do a little back stitch. I don't know if you can see that on there because it's so tiny. It's right here, down here. But see how I have it all marked up so they can see where the steps are. So when they get confused about something, they can go find the samples and look at it. But this is just stitched all the way around. So that covers those. Now I'm going to put that one back. Okay, the next page is for edge finishes. So I'm just going to pull out the edge finish. So this is put a clip. So at the top, they have to put a clip right here and here, right at the bottom of the basting. And so that shows them exactly how to do that. And then they're going to go to the next step. The next step, and you guys can do your sample. I mean, like I went way, way, way out for the samples on this one. And actually, I think the pillowcase is a little bit less detailed on some of the samples, but as long as they can see what it looks like, that's all you need. So here, you actually start, so there's a clip there, you start at the clip and you put your zigzag stitch in. Now, teaching them how to do a zigzag correctly is super important. So I tell them to make sure they watch the video before they put that in, and they learn how to line it up so that the zigzag goes over the edge. And sometimes they get really confused because they do it too far in and then trim it off. And some people like to do it that way. I like to have my seam allowance cut off first because I think the zigzag, as it goes over the edge, it kind of wraps in the threads and makes it look more finished and professional. So I teach them how to do that, and then trimming their corners down here. So this shows the edges. And then prepare the top of the bag for the casing. So notice how the zigzags aren't here because I don't want them to get distracted on which step we're looking at. So hopefully that won't confuse them too much. But so they do, they're going to prep for the casing. So on this part, they put these little zigzag stitches in and do like that little zigzag. I have them adjust the zigzag stitch so it's a little smaller and shorter, and then close it. So right here it's pressed open, and then over here it is stitched. And then the next one is to zigzag the top. That's something that sometimes they forget to do, but putting all those edge finishes are going to make the quality of the project just a ton better. So this one, that's all your edge finishes. And then the very last one, oh, I actually have two. This next sample is this step, and it says form the casing. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is the sample. It shows you the casing. Now, this is tricky because a lot of patterns have you fold the line. But one thing I've learned with my designs, with my pattern designs, is it's actually easier to see the line if you fold the pattern. You have the line lower, like where you want the top edge of the pattern to land. And so I actually put my lines below the like the fold, so that when they're folding it down and pressing it, they are matching that edge of that fabric to the fold or to the line that they've made on there, instead of trying to see where they're supposed to fold it and it's in between the layers. That can be a little hard. If it's on the outside, it's okay, but I find that I just prefer doing it this way, where you match the edge and the yellow line. If you look close, you can see the yellow line. So that edge of that fabric matches up to the yellow line there. Okay, and then I actually just have them do the same zigzag stitch they did to edge finish to go all the way around that. And then they'll see the zigzag from the top. They can also do a straight stitch, but I figure that the zigzag stitch just makes it really strong, and usually it looks pretty good unless they go with a really terrible color of thread, which happens sometimes. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the very final one because I love it. The little miniature bag. The kids love it. They think it's so cute. That is, I'm just filling up these, but this is the drawstring backpack, grading category 3, the finish sample. So on the back of the page, they put the grommets on. So this little sample shows them where the grommets go. And then this is after they put the drawstring in and what the drawstring should look like. And I actually had some miniature drawstring that I used for this bag, but theirs is going to obviously be bigger. But this kind of shows them what the final project is supposed to look like, how it's knotted. Notice how these knots are on the top, not on the back. So if they put the knots so that they end up on the back, then the bag end will kind of try to curl up. So they have to put it in from the back to the front. But it makes it really super fun and easy and professional looking. So that's what if they put their drawstring in right, that's another thing that you might have to point out for them, is making sure they put it in so that it pulls close, because sometimes they'll put it in one side and pull it out the other side, and then when they pull on it, it just kind of stays because the drawstring won't pull shut. Okay, so That's my sample book. So in the back, the very back of this success criteria book, I just have a printout of grading sheets, and that's what it is. So these are I call them success criteria books because it shows the kids what success looks like when on each step, and then what it looks like when it's finished. It makes it way easier for middle school kids to see a picture of what you're doing, and even high school, any sewing level when they're first beginning, anything that you can do that will show them what it's supposed to look like will help you along. Like anything you can have prepared beforehand is going to help you so that it works. This one right here is actually the backpack, the travel pillow, and I'm working on the rice pack one. I don't have the book for the rice pack one yet, but it's the same. So you're going to see like little samples. I'm just going to back you up here. So I'm going to kind of show you. I have some different fabric colors in here, but it's like I just have it put together the same way, same format. You can see the samples inside the back of the bag pages. And then those are little miniature pillows. I love it. So fun. Okay, and then a grading sheet at the end. So just so I have all of my things together. So the instruction sheet, the grading sheet, everything works together. And that's it. So thanks for coming to my class. And please email me if you have any questions. I'm willing to share whatever to help you be successful. And so just let me know what I can do to help. See ya. Bye.